If you're here to find out if it's worth grabbing the HOZO Neosander, then the answer is yes. If you want to know why, let's get into it. Sanding is time consuming, so I'm always looking for the next tool to help me sand faster, cleaner, and with less mess. HOZO sent me their latest Neosander to check out. This video is not sponsored, so they haven't paid me. And although I get to keep this item, they don't have a say, in my opinion, about it. All right, so let's start with the unboxing. In the box, you're gonna get the sander, the charging base, the cable, and a couple of packs. I think they call it the starter pack, with a couple of sanding papers and also sanding sponges. They also sent me a couple of extra ones, grits going from 600 to 1,500. The highlight of the box is the heads. Now, if you look at these, look how beautiful they look. I mean, this is just gorgeous. The colors are really nice. These colors are actually color coded depending on the grit. So if you're going to use 800, you're going to use the blue ones. If you're going to use the 1,000, you're going to use the lighter blue. If you go higher, 1,200, then you're going to go with the lilac or purple. And finally, you have the 1,500. Now, whether I will keep these nice and tidy once I'll start working, I'm not sure. My first impression about the tool, this is really nice. It's solid. The body is made out of metal. You can charge this piece either on the base, or you can charge it directly with an USB cable. I do have a couple of concerns about this. The first one would be the adjustment knob for the for the speed of the sander. It feels just a bit awkward, and I'm curious to see how this works while I'm sanding. The other concern that I have, I'm not sure about the ergonomics. Now, for someone who works on figures that are made out of 20 to 30 parts, I do sand a lot, so it's really important that this is ergonomic for my hands. What I like about it is that it's very light, so I'm really looking forward to see how the battery life and how this feels while I'm sanding. As I said, they did send me a couple of sanding paper kits. Now, when I opened these, I was worried that I'm going to be getting only sanding paper. And as you know from my Proxxon video, I don't like these because when you place these on the heads, you're working with a solid object that's sanding another solid object. So if you're doing something rounded, you might end up with a couple of faceted, and you'll end up working more just to get rid of those. But fortunately, they also sent a couple of sponges. I would have loved to see more because they did send a lot of papers. So I'm curious to see how these work. But at least they considered it and they added it to the pack. Here's the thing that I think it's going to really make a difference. When you're buying something like the Proxxon, it comes with like different heads, but they're mostly flat. They do have a circle and a triangle, but they're flat surfaces. With this one, what I like, and especially the ones that have like a triangle, but it's like an edge, so you can go into those like tight crevices when you usually had to fold like the sanding paper 2 or 3 times to get into them. So I'm really curious to see how these are going to work. The other thing that I like about this is that these are modular, so you can take them off. And usually what I do, I'll work with like maybe 2 sanding grits while I'm sanding. So usually I'll have maybe a 400 with a 600 or 800 with 1,000. So what I like about these is like you can take them off and you can place them on the base when you're working. So then you know that you can add them all, but I think they don't sit perfectly, but when you add them to the base, they do click in nicely. So it keeps your workflow a bit, tidy. Now, my question is, will I put these back when I'm doing a sanding session, or am I going to just chuck these in a container and just call it a day? We looked at design, we looked at branding, we looked at nice colors, beautiful packaging, a lot of different heads, different types of sanding paper, EVA sponges, but at the end of the day, will it perform as it's supposed to? Because as much as I love design, clean shapes, and good options and beautiful colors, this has to sand the 3D prints. So what I went ahead is I have here the same model in different scales. This was printed on the Anycubic. This was printed on the Form Labs Form 4, and this was also printed on the Anycubic. And I want to show, and I want to see if this works on a small case, if it works on a medium figure, and if it works like on a large one, because the workflow kind of differs. And because when you're working with the large pieces, you have a lot of surface to sand, and I want to see if that works with larger pieces. And I'm also curious to see how it handles ergonomically. Is it easy to work with? Does it become tiring while holding it for longer periods? Usually I sand a lot of pieces, about 20 to 30 pieces, and that's a really important thing, and that's one of the things that I don't like about the Proxxon, because the vibrations and the loud noise kind of gets tiring after a while. So let's start sanding these pieces. Dust extractor is ready, and I went ahead and glued the heads for the 400 grit. Because when sanding resin, I never go over lower than 400, because I think it starts to scratch. And for this one, I'm going to use the paper to see how much damage does it make. As you know, and I talked about this in the Proxxon video, I don't like using sanding pads or sanding paper without sponges, especially if I'm not using them by hand. When you sand with your hand, you still have that sponginess from your fingers, so you can control, and it's not going to affect the part, and you're not going to get like straight areas or dips, which will damage your piece. And this is why I always only use sponges, but I want to give these a try and see how they work, especially with flat areas. Like for example, for this piece, you'll notice that it has a lot of supports on the bottom, so I want to see how the flat one reacts to this one and how fast it works with it. And then I'm going to be using the 600, because that's the lowest one. If I had the 400 for sponges, I would have used the 400, but they only sent me the 600. And usually this is the workflow that I will some of you might be asking, can you use this with wet sanding? I have no idea. I will email the company and ask them if this is wet, does it work with water? I'm not going to risk it now, so I'm going to just sand with dry sanding, and as soon as I find out, I'll make a video about the wet sanding. A couple of things I noticed while gluing these pieces. While the sheet, so this is what I use to make all the heads, and I'm pretty sure they're going to hold up pretty nice. So that's how much you're going to use to load up all the heads. The only problem that I notice is while these glue very nicely on the heads, they kind of get loose here, and you can see it here. They kind of just fall off. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, if you want to save these, you have to put them in a box, and I'm pretty sure if you put them in the box or they unglue themselves, you're not going to be able to glue them. So something to look for. I don't like how this, especially for the small ones, they just go around. The large ones stay still, but the small ones kind of unglue themselves, and they kind of fall over the place. Let's go ahead and put the first head in. One thing I've noticed when you put the heads in, it has like a lock mechanism. The problem is when you lock it in, it's kind of hard to get it right, and they emailed me about this, and they know about this problem, and they said they're gonna fix it to make it a bit more loose. So we'll start with the largest one, 400 grit, and I want to see how this works with this part. And I'm impressed because it doesn't vibrate. Like you can barely feel it while holding it. Like if you used the Proxxon before, you know what I'm talking about. It's so annoying, especially when you sand for a long time. Your hands start feeling very sore. But this is really nice. Like I'm impressed about how good this is sanding it. You can see how fast. I'm not gonna fast forward just so you can see for this piece. It's handling it really pretty nice. I'm really curious to see how long the battery holds. If you push it a bit harder, it's gonna take more of that material. And if you've seen my videos, to clean these parts, just keep a piece of jeans lying around, and because now it's gunked up, you don't have to throw this away. Just turn it on and clean this part a bit, and you're ready to go. And this is I just zoomed in so you can see closely how nice. This is very nice. I'm really impressed. I didn't think it's gonna work. I've used battery powered ones before, and they don't have the power to sand, especially larger parts. With this one, you saw how many supports that piece had. It was filled with supports. So for paper, especially this is like on a solid, and because we're doing a flat surface, this works beautifully. But when you have a spherical shape or a cylindrical, I don't know if this will, add more damage to the piece. Alright, so this is the result with this piece. I might just sand a bit more here, but I'm really impressed. It did a really nice job. The only thing, would I use this for large parts? I wouldn't, because the surface, I can use something much better for this one. A larger pad will just make it faster, but I'm not surprised. I wouldn't use this for large parts, mostly for small parts. And if I would use it for large parts, I would use it for example, if I would do this, maybe have it like inside the eyes, or parts where supports are like small, tiny, we have here around the ears, then yes. Next, what I'll do is I'll start sanding this part, and you can see how much supports we have here. And I'm really curious to see how it works with surfaces like this.
Want to learn how to do this yourself? I created a course where I documented my entire workflow. The cleaning, the sanding, the priming, the airbrushing, the gluing, the masking, the assembly, every single step. And there are two options to take on this course. Option 1, learn at your own pace. 95 plus lessons, 12 hours of content. This is not a tips and tricks. This is my entire workflow on how I create production-ready collectible. Option 2, one-on-one mentorship. This is limited to 10 students. You get all the materials, plus a weekly call with me, just you and me, no group. We go over the material, we go over your questions, we go over your personal project. This is created for people who want direct feedback or want to release their first collectible. I'm running a discount now on my store, and once you get this course, you will receive all future updates. New techniques, new tools, everything new that I learn will be added to the course. Use code DADSQUAD at checkout to get an extra $50 off on your purchase, and I left the link in the description.
I'm still using the same head, so I haven't changed. This one, I just went ahead and cleaned it a bit, because I really want to see how much you can get out of just one small, cutout of sanding paper. Until now, and I'm not pushing too much because I really don't want to scar the surface too much, but it's way better than what the Proxxon was doing when I was talking about the stickers that comes with it, and this is why I use sponges. I wish I've had like some 400 sponges. Would love to try that. I'm gonna keep a part. I'm not gonna do the whole thing because I want to do a 600 with the sponges and see how those work. But till now, you can see this is doing a really good job. Now for parts like this, I would use the other heads that come with it. So I might use this one for going here, or this one which has like a rounded, and this one just fits perfectly. So I love the fact that it comes with different shapes. All right, so let's go ahead and switch this to the sponge because I'm curious to see how that works. Let's remove this, and again the same thing. This is really tough to take off, so it's not that easy, and I think it needs to have just a bit more space. But at least it doesn't fall off. And maybe if you, place it in a couple of times, it might loosen the plastic. So maybe this is why they thought it should be better if it's tight. All right, so this one is 600, and this one has maybe a sponge to it. Let's see how this one works. With this one, I'm pushing a bit more. And you will see, like, instantly how nice this feels compared to this. Because this goes, like, slowly, and like, it takes the heads of the supports, and then the medium part, and then it reaches that part without eating too much of the material because you have that soft padding. This is why I like having sponges. Oh, the sponge is so much better. Like, so much better. I wish I had the 400 for the sponge. It would have been so much faster. Like, we could have run through this in a couple of minutes, no issues. You see how it handles, like, sharp, because sometimes some sponges, they especially the sanding paper with sponges, it kind of gets scruffy because of the sharpness of those remaining supports. All right, so let's go ahead and clean this up and see how that looks. And yeah, this is what I was saying. So yeah, it kind of tears through it. You won't see this happening with 3M. They will last way longer than this. And you saw, like, we barely did one piece and it just stuffs it up. So this is not a great sponge, to be honest. It's good when it sands, but supports are really sharp. And if only those supports would set up for one, so you will need a lot of them. The thing is, you can do the same thing that I showed on the Proxxon, and I'll show you that for this one as well. You can just go ahead and add a double-sided tape, or you can just hot glue them in. You cut, and the beauty of this is you can cut them a bit larger, so then you wouldn't, scar the parts with the edges of the plastic. And the other thing is you'll have the better thickness. And these sponges are really good, and you can buy these as any company you want. I highly recommend the 3M ones because they're really strong. There is another company, Dice Pia, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. And I love these because they come with this same sponge, but the paper here is strong. It's closely to the paper that they have here. So I don't understand why they wouldn't just add the sponge with glue on both sides. And then what you would do is you would take the sponge with the glue, put it on the head, and then just use any type of sandpaper. You don't have to use their sandpaper. You can use any type of sandpaper and just cut it to parts, or you can use these if you want to. But I think that would be an even better solution. Just put in a sheet of sponges, cut to size, and then I can glue these in, and then I can put what type of sandpaper that I want. The sponges are not great quality, so I'm just gonna go ahead and put another one so we can continue sanding the part. I haven't finished not even one piece with that sponge. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. So we changed the sponge, and this is without the supports being too sharp, and it's still kind of, I think it was like a couple of them sharp ones left behind. So I'm loving the sander. It's doing a really great job. The sponges are not that great. The sandpaper is better than what they have here on the sponges. So I went back to the 400 on the regular sanding paper, and I think it still has some power into it. So I'm gonna go ahead and sand this other part, and this one is the sole that I printed on the Foam Labs, and you'll notice that has very few supports. So I'm gonna go ahead and see how it handles that. I went ahead and sanded this part and the small sole, and I think that's about it for it. Even if I start cleaning it, it doesn't sand anymore. And for how small it is, think about it. It sanded these two parts and half of that piece, so it's not bad for the small. So I really like how the sanding paper behaves. It's really good, really high quality, and I'm loving this piece because it's I don't feel my hands sore, and if you use Proxxon before, you'll notice that you'll feel like your hands are still tremoring even after you finished sanding. So I'm just gonna go ahead and change the head, and I'll keep sanding these pieces. I'm really curious to see how the battery behaves. I don't like the sponges that they send. They're not really good quality. So I went ahead and put some double-sided tape on the heads, and I cut some of the 3M fine, and I'm just gonna go ahead and place this on top, cut it to size, and I wanna see how this works with the 3M sanding pads. Hopefully they do better. I sanded all these parts until the battery ran out. I'm not sure if it was 100% charged. I did charge it before starting to sand, but overall I've been sanding for about an hour and 15 minutes, and I'm impressed. Keep in mind, I mean, it might look like a few pieces, but keep in mind this piece is like what 10 times this. So this is what I would call a good first pass. I would clean this, prime it, and then hit it again to make sure everything is. But this is really good for, and the other things that I've noticed about it, it doesn't heat up. It's not, I mean, after an hour, my hands don't feel like they're, you know, pulsing because of the sander. So overall, I'm pretty impressed. One question you might have, can you sand while it's charging? And I'm happy to tell you yes, and I'm super stoked about that, because if you have a rush job and you can't just wait for the battery to charge, you can do your job. Just make sure to get yourself a long USB cable so it's easier for you. Now let's talk about these. When I received the sander, this is what intrigued me the most. I mean, this is eye candy. This is just gorgeous. This is a beautiful design, and I love the fact that they went through the trouble to make all these different colors, and I think they look brilliant. But at the end of the day, would I take the time to go ahead and place each one? Maybe at first, because it's like, it's a new toy, and you know, when you have a new toy, you're gonna take care of it at first, and then as time passes, you're just gonna, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna have them all, you know, and I'm gonna all chuck them into one, you know, and I'm just gonna keep them there. And I'll prepare them, because this is what I used to do with my Proxxon. I would have like two boxes, one labeled new and the other one labeled used, and this way I know and I can switch them. The fact that they send you these many, it's just beautiful, because I don't have to use them just because with the labels that they say. I can go ahead and, you know, and I think the most one that I'm going to use is the flat one, and I'm just going to go ahead and prepare, you know, as many that I need, because switching them while you're working, because there's like so much dust, it might be, you know, hard, or you have to take your gloves off to, you know, to put on the new a new sanding paper. But the fact that you can prepare them from before start sanding is just beautiful. And it works great with your sanding pads, so you can just use a double-sided tape and cut your 3Ms or whatever sanding pad that you're going to be using to the size that you need, and just go ahead and sand. After sanding for about an hour, I can safely say that this sander works really great. I mean, it works great with the sanding paper, it works great with the sponges, although the sponges are not that amazing. They do rip if you have some supports, and usually, you know, resin supports are usually very sharp, especially after you've cured the part. And when I tried to sand with the sponge, it just went through it and it just ripped, and it barely sanded a small piece. Now you can go ahead and use your own sanding pads, and I use the ones from 3M, and those do not rip even if you have a lot of supports. The other thing that's important for me is ergonomics. After using this for about an hour, I didn't feel my hands getting tired. And I think what I like about it is the fact that it's light. It's the fact that they made everything rounded, so you don't have anything sharp about this. And my concern about the button, it works really nice, and you're not gonna bump into it while working. If you've used a linear sander before, especially the one from Proxxon, this one sounds like a whisper next to it. You do hear it, but especially if I'm using it with the dust extractor, I can't hear this. Like I hear the dust extractor, but this you can barely notice. And finally, vibration. Vibration is important, again, for somebody who sands a lot, and my sanding sessions sometimes go into 1 to 2 hours. After you use a linear sander like the Proxxon or a Dremel, you know that feeling when you feel your hands are still vibrating even hours after you finished working. So with this one, I can tell you that it feels so nice. After I turned this off, I barely felt anything like on my hands. Like there is a vibration, but it's so subtle, and it's very nice to see that they actually thought about this. Is the Neosander worth it? For me, yes. It's quiet.
It's really light. It's very nicely built. The battery is decent. I did a session for about an hour and it worked just beautifully. The vibration is minimal, and the heads are just amazing. I mean, the small sharp ones are just perfect to get into those tight spots that are really hard to sand. Are there things to improve? Sure. As I said, the sponges are not great, and either remove them altogether and just send me a foam sheet with double-sided tape on each side so I can use my own sponge pads, or I even use the same sanding paper on top of the foam, because these work out really nice. Overall, this is a solid tool and it just earned its place on my desk. Now, if you want to grab one, they're running a Kickstarter campaign now. I've left a couple of links in the description. There are affiliate links, so it would help the channel a lot. If you found this helpful, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and see you in the next one.